All right, so let's talk about AEW Dynamite from April the 21st, 2021. All right, so first we have to talk about some news and notes. It come to my attention that the AEW Botches YouTube channel was taken down. Also, the AEW Botches Twitter account was also taken down due to copyright claims from AEW. I think the YouTube ban is permanent, but the Twitter ban was temporary. So there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of reporting when it comes to AEW. And it's quite sad, if we're being honest. Like, we went through the LOL TNA days without all this copyright shit. You know, WWE is all over Botchamania for bad stuff that happens. Why is it that AEW gets protection? Why is it that their bots got to go out here and and report on people? Come on, stop doing that shit, man. Like, stop doing it. Let people have fun. If you think folks shouldn't be doing it, just block them or something. But going out of your way to try to get copyright claims and all that bullshit, reporting the account, all that other bullshit. Come on, man. Stop that. Stop being weird. All right. But the AEW Botches Twitter account is back. The YouTube account, I believe, is indeed gone. Last time I checked, it was gone. So that's really the only news and notes. And I think that Abaddon has been injured. I think they said she was injured in a match with Ty Conti. I don't know. I saw that, but I don't know. I haven't seen Abaddon recently, so I can't tell you whether she's hurt or not, if we're being honest. But it says a lot that it's almost always the women's division where somebody's getting hurt. All right, let's get right into this match. So Ricky Starks with his very shiny vest. He came out looking like a Chippendales dancer. And he wrestled Hangman Page, and this match was actually good. During the opening promo, Starks said that Page can't handle pressure, but Starks makes diamonds. He knows how to handle pressure. Hangman Page did not get a promo to start the match. There was a botch in this match. Hangman Page did a overhead German suplex, which Ricky Starks landed directly on his head. And his feet was underneath him, so thankfully he was able to catch himself and able to finish the match. So he seems to be okay. He wrestled for another, I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 minutes after that. So he was mostly okay. But it was ugly, and I was concerned for him. But ultimately, Hangman Page is not winning with a submission, a bulldog choke with a leg trap, which is pretty interesting. So then Taz called Page lucky and told him that he said he should watch his back. And then he said, you should literally watch your back. Which Hook attacked him from behind. And then Starks attacked him. And as they beat him up, then Cage came out. The Brain Cage. The Machine Cage. He comes out and then all of the Dark Order just spills from the tunnel. I mean, it just spew out like Pac-Man vomiting all of the dots up. And here comes all of these mass job guys who've been on TV for over a year, and most people still don't know who the fuck they are. And they run off the heels. Okay, cool. So then the Elite have their own trailer and their own cameraman, and they're on their way to the Elite spot, whatever. They're going to the Elite trailer. You got your own camera team. So while we're here, let's just group like objects. So the Elite cut a promo. Don Callis talking about, there's never been an assemblage of talent like this ever in history. And then he says, then Nick Jackson, I believe is the one with the beard, says that, this is the group that sparked the revolution. The group that spiked business in Japan. The group that led the revolution that created AEW. And then, Kenny Omega and all these guys started basically taunting Moxley and Eddie Kingston, saying, you guys should come. You guys should come talk to us. You should guys come see. I heard they're here. And then there's a horn in the background. And everybody was like, Omega was talking very softly, by the way. And everybody was looking around like, what's going on? And then the camera cuts outside to, I'll call him Ambrose, Moxley and Kingston, driving a pickup truck, which they rammed into the Elite's trailer. Then they grabbed pipes. And they were talking about, where's the Young Bucks? After they crashed his trailer, there was no screaming or howling or nothing inside. They went inside anyway and was looking around for the Young Bucks, and they started saying weird things like, "Well, where did they go? You know, did they take all their stuff with them?" And Eddie Kingston talking about stealing shoes, and Moxley's telling them not to steal shoes, and it's getting like they're talking over each other. It's unfocused, almost chaotic, you know, but it's high energy. So you're kind of interested in what they're actually doing and what they're actually saying. But it's clear the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and none of those guys are actually in the trailer, right? They're not in there. So Eddie Kingston said, like, you know, they bitches. And then John Moxley was like, yeah, bitch AF. And said they were going to catch up with him eventually. Now, this was funny. Okay. Moxley and Kingston are good. They have a lot of fun together. Of course, this doesn't make any sense because now you have to, well, look, it makes sense that just because you saw the Elite going towards that trailer doesn't mean that they went in it, right? It could have been that they left. And just because you heard the horn, beep, 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 in the promo, doesn't mean that they were in the building. You could have heard the horn from somewhere else. They could have had a decoy trailer. It could have been any number of things, right? It could have been any number of things to avoid this situation here. But so they did this thing to try to make John Moxley look like a badass, him and Eddie Kingston. And for a second, they looked like, you know, Hogan had run over the Rock that one time at on Raw before WrestleMania. You know, he took that Mack truck and run over the ambulance. You know, that's insanity. It was chaotic, which I liked. I liked that it felt out of control. But I didn't like was that it led nowhere. It didn't go anywhere. It's not like the Elite tricked them and then attacked them from behind as they come out of the empty trailer, you know, or anything like that. They got arrested for attempted homicide or something. Nothing happens. Nothing is going to come of this. It just showed that Kingston and Moxley are crazy and they want to murder these guys, which is fine on its own. But you probably could have needed one more segment. Maybe even if it was just the Elite laughing at them for being stupid and running over the trailer and there's nobody in there, you know, or, you know, saying you don't believe everything you see or something like that. Or, you know, we got more than one trailer because we're rich or something. But it was a cool visual to see Moxley drive a pickup truck into the trailer, but it's not going anywhere. It didn't really go anywhere. So I don't know, but it was cool and it was funny, I guess. All right. So the second match on the card, Penta El Zero M versus Trent, which is literally a question. So Trent comes out to the actual Best Friends theme song, which is not the other song that everybody else apparently loves so much. Anyway, Penta and Alex, his interpreter, is talking about, well, you guys should never have reignited this feud with Death Triangle. But if Orange Cassidy gets in the way, we're going to turn Orange Cassidy into orange juice. It's like, how many times are they going to do the orange juice joke? I feel like every time Orange Cassidy is involved in a storyline, somebody does the orange juice joke. It just feels so overdone by now. I mean, Jericho built an entire match on orange juice. We really don't need any more orange juice references when it comes to Orange Cassidy. This match was meh. There was a springboard Canadian Destroyer, which I almost immediately lost interest in this match right there. There was also a power driver on the apron, which was kind of sloppy because Trent did not stabilize Penta's body. He just kind of let him go. Thankfully, Penta was not hurt, but it was weird. You had a part in the match where Alex gets the microphone and says, "Oh, Penta says." He's got a shirt that says Penta says too. They show a shirt for everything. He says, your friends suck, you suck, and your mama sucks. So Trent gets really upset at this Alex, whatever his name is. I want to call him Marvez so bad. It's Alex something or other. And then, Trent runs the guy into the ring. Then, Orange Cassidy's in the ring to stop the guy. Then Penta kicks Orange Cassidy in the back of the head. And then Penta, ended up hitting Trent with a question mark at the end. Trent with a package pile driver to win. I mean, how many times could you theoretically drop somebody on their head? I mean, come on. The package pile driver is not even the most devastating move that took place in this match. That's how you know that people are not, it's ridiculous, right? That's wrestling these days, though. We're gonna do crazy stuff in the middle of the match that mean nothing. That's actually more important than the finish. The match was what it was. I'm a fan of Penta, but come on, man. I was a fan of Trent, but I don't care about best friends at all. I couldn't give a damn less. All right, so then we get all this Pinnacle stuff. The Pinnacle and Inner Circle. This stuff felt like it went on forever. Okay. First, we get a really long promo from MJF, which features a couple of sentences from Wardlow. I don't want to go through the entire MJF promo because he was spouting out a whole bunch of shit. His whole point was that he's been rocking Burberry since he was on Rosie O'Donnell, so he's not following in the shadow of Chris Jericho. He's not trying to be like Chris Jericho. Then he said, so he switched it out for a silk one, what looks just like the one he just wore. Then he says that Jericho wrestles Beast to look like an A. He hangs out with Beast to look like an A, which I thought was good. I thought that was good, good stuff right there. You hang out with lower quality talent to make yourself look good. You wrestle lower quality talent to make yourself look good. Of course, that's a cheap shot at Dax, who is sitting right there, who Jericho just wrestled last week. Also shits on himself because he was in the Inner Circle too. Right? So yeah, it's like, yeah, you shit on the Inner Circle, but you also sit on yourself and Wardlow because you both were in the Inner Circle for 6 months. The idea that, so if Jericho hangs out with Beast who like an A, and you were hanging out with Jericho, you were one of the B's. Weird. Then Wardlow spoke, and he put some emphasis on this. He basically said that Jericho was, you cut one of the best promos of all time. Your promo was really good, Jericho. It was a really good promo. It's one of the best promos of all time. Ain't that what you said, Tony? It was a great promo, right? Great promo. Good promo, Jericho. I'm like, how many times these motherfuckers gonna keep saying promo? Like, why are we using insider terms on TV? Just go. Just say what you gotta say. Like, Jericho, you was talking that yin yang to everybody else. When you talked about me, you got a little flustered. So basically, that's what his point. Jericho got it wrong. Got it a little bit backwards. But they really should have said, instead of saying that Jericho stumbled his words and got it backwards, that he should have said, "You were right, Jericho. Baby, I do got a 15-cent body and $1 million brain. I'm not ever going to be mad at somebody said I got $1 million brain." But Wardlow, it was cool. Then Jericho, MJF cut another promo talking about he was 25. He's 25 years old. He says that in every promo. I'm 25 and I'm a star. And you were 25 curtain jerking on WCW Worldwide, which, whatever. Then he says that he already beat Jericho and he's undefeated. And he's not a mark for Jericho. He's a mark for Jericho's spot. And he's coming for it. And I was like, more insider terms on TV. Look, there's people who don't know what this stuff means. Like, it's like when you go to, like, imagine they were doing like some wizard shit on TV, right? And they're talking about moguls and what the fuck is them shits called? Muggles or whatever the fuck. And they're on TV and they basically speaking a whole different fucking language. And you're like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? That's how most people who probably don't follow wrestling as much as everybody else does, sitting here listening like, what does that mean? Like, why are you marked for a spot? I thought you were a top guy. Ain't that what the Pinnacle it means, that you were a top guy? Anyway, it was okay. Of course, a lot of people was like, it's a fire promo. Let's not think too deeply into it. It was a fire promo. MJF always cuts fire promos. Adjust my glasses. MJF always cuts fire promos because that's what he does. It's like, yeah, well, it was all right. So then let's talk about the Inner Circle promo while we're here. So the Inner Circle starts talking about, Jericho is saying, like, who cares about the Pinnacle, and he only cares about the Inner Circle swans or the song or whatever the hell. And he starts talking about Blood and Guts and how Blood and Guts is going to be so violent. They said this 100 times. Blood and Guts is going to be violent. and he's still calling them the pineapple. And then we get Hager, who's talking about sucking meat through a straw. I was like, what? What? And basically saying, you suck. You're going to suck. And you're going to suck meat through a straw. I was like, what? Thankfully, Santana saved this segment. Santana cut the best promo here. We need Santana to talk more. So Santana, he stepped up and he was like, the Pinnacle wait until they got a crew to jump people from behind. And that's smart. It's smart that you wait till you got a crew to jump people from behind. But where we come from, we call it a bitch move. Said we already saw the color of your blood. May 5th, we're gonna see the size of your heart. And I was like, yes. That's what I want to hear. That's that. See, Santana and Ortiz need to be hanging out with Moxley and Kingston, right? All of those dudes speak the same language. If you're going to be talking about creating a faction, and the faction need to make sense, Santana and Ortiz need to be hanging out with Kingston and Moxley. All of those dudes speak the same language, right? It's very poetic, but it's also tough guy shit. You believe it, it's believable. It's straight to the point. It's not flowery and full of bullshit like the MJF promos and the Jericho promos, okay? Where it's mostly how they say it and not exactly what they said. Santana shined. Best promo of the night, as far as I'm concerned. As far as getting straight to the fucking point, getting over the idea, the match, talking about his opponents, he gave them credit for being smart guys and jumping people from behind. Called them bitches for doing it because it is cowardly to wait until you got, homeboys to help you. But then said some poetic shit. Like, okay, look, we saw your blood already. We already busted you dudes open. But now we're going to see what kind of heart you got. I love that. And he didn't take all day to do it. Santana cut the best promo on the fucking show. Jericho, on the other hand, it went off the fucking rails. He starts talking about MJF in high school drama class. He starts talking about Rosie O'Donnell. He starts talking about show tunes. And then he tries to sing show tunes. Like, I sing show tunes too. The goddamn promo collapsed after that. Because he started singing. And then, not only was the song not good, it wasn't funny. And then he just gave up. He looked like he wanted to laugh at how dumb what he was doing was. It made no sense. It went too long. See, that's the thing, man. And then he starts talking about, oh yeah, we want to have a parlay next week. So they're going to have another big talk segment. Just the two groups now. We're going to talk together. You're going to have one big long talk segment featuring MJF. Another big long talk segment featuring Jericho. Now we're going to have one big talk segment featuring MJF and Jericho. I'm guessing it's going to be Eric Bischoff and a bunch of other people showing up at this thing too. Because why not? Bring Conrad out there. Save money with Conrad. Whatever the fuck. The Jericho promo his promos in this feud have not been good. He just gave up and was like, I gave him a swirly. Waited for the reaction. Like, I gave him a swirly? Swirly. Like, yeah. So what is this? What is this garbage? What is this garbage? Get the hell out of here, Jericho. This sucked. It was unfocused and there was no point to it. My jerk off friend, his high school drama class, I wiped my ass with that scarf before he gave it to you. I'm like, what? Jericho, it's over, dog. Jericho needs to focus up. I don't know if it's the drink. Is that big bottle of Grey Goose? Is he still working on it that he was drinking on the Broken Skull sessions? He's still working on that, or did he finish it before the show? I mean, what's going on here? We need to do something else. Jericho is not working, and I didn't see too many criticisms of this show. I almost never see that many criticisms. I see people giving AEW credit for what I really like about AEW? The lighting. It has such great lighting. I love the ring ropes. It's so awesome. It's like this dude just cut this shitty promo. And people are like, oh, I really like the beams on that tower over there. Like, what the fuck? Come on. Like, did we watch the same show, listen to the same segments? Are you serious? Anyway. So the third match on the show, Hikaru Shida defeated Tai Conti for the AEW women's title. Everybody that I saw seemed to want Tai Conti to win. She has become a favorite. You know, she left WWE. That's pretty much all she did. Is she a better worker now than she was before? She's slightly better. She's not much better. She's slightly better. I mean, from the way people would think, you would think that she transformed into, fucking Bull Nakano, or, she was she was like really, really smooth and really, really good. It's like she's still kind of thinking her way through these matches. Even in this match, you could tell that she was less confident in some things than she was about others. Like, I think her grappling and her striking and stuff like that, she might be confident in that. But then there's some of the spots and stuff that, other people want to do that she's not really as comfortable with, because it's not her wheelhouse. If you think I'm lying, go look at the spot where they did that thing outside. And all she had to do was run to the barricade and put her foot up. And it seemed like she couldn't get that part together. It looked like shit. But the match itself was mostly okay. There was a spot on the turnbuckle where she slammed Shida, I should say, pronouns pal. Shida slammed Tai Conti on the turnbuckle, like on the metal part, and she bent all over it. So that was pretty ugly. It was an ugly bump. I give Tai Conti credit for taking it. Hopefully she's okay. She'd kicked out of Tai's finish, which is interesting. Then she beat her with a pump knee strike, which it's not really a pump knee strike as much as a roundhouse knee strike, which I believe they called the katana. And she beat her. So that was it. Shida wins again, and then immediately after Shida wins, we get Britt Baker strolling out, and we get a graphic that shows that she's gone from the number 2 contender to the number 1 contender, because Tai Conti was number 1. Now she's fallen off the list. So immediately from there, she didn't say anything. She didn't call her shot, anything. Now we just know that Britt Baker is the number 1 contender. Okay, cool. None of this matters. Okay, look, the reason why this doesn't matter is because it was like, how did you go from number 4 to number 1 in like 2 weeks? Right? Like, how did that happen? And then if you'd be like, well, you have to watch AEW Dark Elevation. You have to watch AEW Dark. I'm like, I shouldn't have to. That's the thing. These things should be like, if you're going to, well, I see, look here, this is where I kind of trying to avoid being a hypocrite, because I'm like, AEW should probably do clips, like show clips. If you're going to use what's going on AEW Dark Elevation and all that shit in the show clips. Show me clips of, Britt Baker winning all these matches every week. And as along with the promo of her talking about, see me on AEW Dark Elevation, where I do stuff like this. And then she's, beating up 2 or 3 people or whatever and winning, and, her ranking is going up, and her, all this stuff is changing. But you can't be like, well, all of this matters equally, because I'm not watching everything. Like, some of this stuff is YouTube only. And, it's rarely mentioned on TV, except for when it's magically the most important shit in the show, or the most important thing to the storyline. And anyway, just get the belt on Britt, which is where it should have been in the first place. I like Shida, big fan of Shida. I think she's been booked very well as champion. I think they did a good job with her. But, Britt Baker was obviously should have been the champion by now anyway. I guess they're trying to wait for crowds. So, well, even though they do have crowds. And that's a weird thing, too. Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about, AEW is going to really be over with crowds. Like, they've had crowds since August. Like, they really have had crowds almost this whole time. Just been very small crowds. But they had crowds way back, way, way back. And now they're talking about they're about to go on, they're about to get back on the road. I start going back on tour. I'm like, okay. You do you, dog. I don't care. Then we get a a Miro promo. Miro was upset because no more Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian still hasn't showed up to work. And he starts talking about how much he hates the business and he demands vindication. Then he starts talking about, well, I don't care if you got your slimy impact pal. I don't care if you got your face paint emo daddy. If you got a title, you got a problem. And I'm like, all right, but at least it's a promo. But I don't care. It's just I don't care. Like we haven't seen. Last time we saw this guy, he was wrestling midgets, and surrounded by arcades. A girl popped out of a claw machine, and it was just shenanigans. Like he hasn't done anything. Like he didn't go out there and wreck anybody and demand Kip Sabian come out there or anybody else. He didn't confront anybody. He didn't do anything. He's just kind of sitting back, growling and roaring, which is all right, I guess. Whatever. So then we get Billy Gunn versus QT Marshall. The opening promo was from Anthony Ogogo and QT. Anthony Ogogo cut a foreign heel promo about how the only reason he's in the U.S. is to make that big, big money. And QT said, I'm going to show you the big, big money. But I'm going to show Billy Gunn what being loyal to Cody is worth. And then him and Billy Gunn proceed to have a very boring match. It was not good. At one point, Billy's sons, I don't know how many of them it is. I have no idea. I think it's 3. They jumped the barricades on Nick Camarado, Aaron Solo, and I think somebody else. And they all fought off into the tunnel. Then later in the match, Anthony Ogogo gut punched Billy Gunn, which of course led to the Diamond Cutter and QT Marshall winning. Then for some odd reason, QT Marshall appears with a wooden chair, right? Like it's a wood chair. I'm like, when is the last time you saw in wrestling you saw somebody with a wood chair? Like that's one of those things that really don't make no sense. Like wrestling is like always like hard plastic or metal folding chairs. These dudes have a wooden church chair. It is obviously somebody about to get hit with this thing, right? So QT Marshall very fakely raises the wooden chair over his head, very slow too. He had no intention of hitting this guy. He was waiting for the cue. He raises it up real slow, and then once it's at the top, Dustin's music starts to play. And then Dustin runs to the ring and beats up QT Marshall. Then Nick Camarado comes in, and Nick Camarado, kind of, saves QT, I believe. Or is it Anthony Ogogo? It was somebody. But it was Nick Camarado in the ring when I believe it was Dustin hit him in the head with a wooden chair. And of course, Nick Camarado no-sold it. He's like, whop. And he just stood there like the human barbarian that he is. Which led to the question again, when was the last time you saw somebody use a wooden chair? Never. I've never seen anybody use a wooden chair. It's probably been since the territories. The last time I saw somebody use a wooden chair. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. But very strange. So then we had Powerhouse Hobbs versus Christian Cage. There was nothing wrong with this match. Like there was Christian gave Hobbs a lot. He let Hobbs get a lot of offense in. And then he beat him with the kill switch. So I don't know if Christian going out there working 10 minutes with underneath talent is the right thing to do. But Hobbs is the right guy. If you're gonna push an underneath guy like that, then Powerhouse Hobbs is the right guy. He got a lot of offense in. He didn't look like a joke. It sucks that Hobbs had been beaten by Orange Cassidy in like 30 seconds, but it took Christian 10 minutes, or whatever. Like Christian worked his ass off. He really is an outwork everyone guy. He's a good hand. But I really would ask the question though, why weren't they promoting Christian more for this show? You would think that I forgot that he was even going to be on this show, to be honest. Because when Powerhouse Hobbs came out, I was like, okay, who is he wrestling? It's almost like they did the whole big reveal on Christian, and now they just kind of like, we don't know what to do. So we're just about to do this whole outwork everyone, and you're going to wrestle everybody in Taz's stable. So then Ricky Starks limps out there because he's got to do his part where he comes out and helps Hobbs, and he stares down Christian, and they're like, ooh, that could possibly be the next match. That could be next. And I was just kind of like, these guys are just getting beat left and right. Like, you're not building them up. They're like, these guys are just getting beat left and right. Starks just lost to Hangman Page. Clean. So it wasn't like he's going to be any type of competition for Christian. And then Cage is wrestling Hangman next week and probably going to lose. So we're in a position here where you're beating both sides. You're beating the big guys and the smaller guys. The only one who's not taking losses is Hook because he's not in the ring yet. But everybody else is taking L's in Team Taz. But when you don't have to explain anything, nothing matters. Everybody's in a faction for no reason. Nothing matters. Doesn't matter. Jade Cargill gets a promo, and she starts talking about how all of the managers are after her. All of the managers in AEW, meaning two, Vicky Guerrero and Matt Hardy. Arn didn't want a piece of that for some reason. Like, wouldn't that have been a thing too for like Arn Anderson to be like, you were opposite Cody at one point, but now we want to bring you into the Nightmare family. It might have been fun, at least, something to think about. But then she says, I don't need a manager because I make big money. So if you want to sign me, you're going to have to bring me a big deal. And I was like, oh, now they're doing the Randy Savage thing with her, where she's going to get a manager. It's probably just going to be Vicky Guerrero. I mean, come on. But you have to ask the question though. What does she need a manager for? Right? Like, see, when in WWE, they don't do these stupid rankings and shit, right? Well, what would be Jade Cargill's ranking if she was, what would her ranking be? Well, because you have to think about that for a second, right? Let's sit down and ponder this for a minute. This is the problem when you try to protect everybody. So you're gonna have Britt Baker, who lost the biggest match of her career, but you said it was non-sanctioned, so it didn't count. But now she's gonna be the number one contender, quite possibly going to end up being the champion. Okay, so who is Jade Cargill going to wrestle? Because she's undefeated too. She's literally undefeated, hasn't never lost, not even in an unsanctioned situation. So when she becomes the number one contender, are we going to have super heel Britt Baker wrestle super heel Jade Cargill? Is that really the plan, or are we going to do something to throw this off? Maybe it's going to have to be Jay losing. That's the only way you can prevent that from happening. But you can't. I mean, that's why you kind of can't build two people at the same time for the same spot. That's the problem with AEW right now is you got top guys, you just don't use them, right? Because you're trying to save your big money matches. So you're trying to give away quote unquote big matches on TV. At the same time, you're protecting people, which means you're putting them in the broom closet, which is what they did with Miro, right? Miro is not on TV losing because he lost his last match, but he's not out actively pursuing these titles and stuff either. He just says that he is. Why isn't he directly in Darby Allin's face? Why isn't he wrestling for the TNT title right now? Why is it Jungle Boy? Anyway, but Jungle Boy, I believe, was a top contender or whatever. Doesn't matter. Jungle Boy versus Darby Allin. The match was not as good as I would have thought it would have been. It was okay. It should have felt bigger because these like the two top baby faces that have never worked anywhere else. As far as the two homegrown recruited talent that they have, these are the two. Both of them are baby faces. Jungle Boy looks like a fucking giant compared to Darby Allin. And I just see people salivating over this. I peeked on Twitter, obviously. And people are like, oh, you don't need to have big muscles to main event a show. I'm like, they just put them in last. This is not an earned spot. They just put them there. There were some people who was like, Tay Conti should be in the main event. I'm like, I don't, whatever. The main event is whoever you put on last. Let's not overthink this. You don't have to sell tickets to this. Okay, so it doesn't matter. All right. So the match itself was not bad. I enjoyed it because I like both of these guys, but you had the crazy babyface versus babyface dynamic, and then you had both babyfaces being a little bit dirty. Where in this match you had Luchasaurus roll Jungle Boy back into the ring when he's about to get counted out, which of course pissed off Sting. So Sting goes over there and him and Luchasaurus fight, and there was no reaction for them fighting. By the way, like nobody was like, "Ooh, oh, they're fighting for real." It was very quiet. It was kind of like Sting punched him, and everybody was like, okay. And then Luchasaurus punched him back, and everybody was like, okay. And then they fought all the way into the aisleway, and everybody was kind of like, I guess they're gone. Like there was no, this could be a dream match. This could be huge. I can't believe Sting and Luchasaurus are fighting. It was just kind of like, oh, okay. I guess, this bland as hell. I like that Jungle Boy was more aggressive in this match. It made the match feel more serious. That he's taking it more seriously. He was all up in Darby's face, especially early in the match. There was a spot in the match, obviously, where it looked like Jungle Boy might have gotten hurt. Not Jungle Boy, but Darby Allin, like he might have got dropped on his head. There's something about the German suplexes not looking good. I believe there was a German suplex where I think Darby kind of landed on his head and neck a little bit. I think he was okay, though. Well, of course he was okay. He finished the match. But it didn't look good. They used what do you call it? The trap mirror? What the fuck is it called? The last trap, snap trap, whatever the fuck it's called. The jungle trap, bear trap. What is Jungle Boy's submission move called? I like that Darby Allin did a decent job of putting it over. I don't like the idea that you start fading immediately, and he did do that in this match where the moment he got in the move, he just started to fade. Like, oh. I'm like, it takes a little while before you get choked out. Like it takes a minute or so. Don't just start fading immediately. But he ended up, of course, crawling to the ropes. He ended up putting the move over, so it was really good. And the finish came with the Last Supper, which is an interesting roll-up. It's a combination finish. Pretty good finish. I like the finish. It protected Jungle Boy, but it gave Darby a clean win. I like the time that they got. They got main event time. They got about 15 minutes, I believe. Maybe even 20. So it was good, So that was good. And then, of course, they ruined it. They had to go and fuck it up by bringing out Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Ethan Page has been on this show once. Right? Once. And Scorpio Sky hasn't been on this show in weeks. Again, he's been off the show for weeks. We don't know why they're a pair. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know why. We have no idea what's going on here. So I was definitely confused. Like I remember them being a tag team pairing, sitting up in the mezzanine or whatever, watching the show. But I'm like, whatever. Why are they attacking Darby now? And I just shrugged because it was like, we're just going to deal with random mid-card heels and random mid-card baby faces attacking all the time. So then Darby is getting stomped out. And then here comes Lance Archer to help him. Lance Archer, who has been going heel on Sting for the last month, comes out to help Darby Allin. Why? Doesn't matter because he got beat up. And then the 62-year-old geriatric with a baseball bat comes out in the heels run. The 6'8" murder hawk monster who is in his prime and his physical peak. Probably not his physical peak, but he's in somewhere closer to his prime than Sting is. He couldn't fight those guys off. But Sting doesn't even have to touch them. Sting just makes an appearance. And they scatter like roaches when the lights go on. Man. They really do put over Sting. And I can't complain about that. But you have to explain why Lance Archer wants to help Darby Allin. Why does he care? Why does he care? Why does he care that Darby Allin is getting beat up by these goons? Why does he care? Why are we See, Lance Archer is already Big Show. He's Big Show already. He's been healing for 4 weeks, and then now he's a babyface again, saving babyfaces. There's no reason for it. Now, if you want to say, look, it is in some connection with Sting, which is probably what they're going to say, is that, when Sting told Jake Roberts to show Lance Archer the way, that maybe Sting enlightened Lance Archer and he decided to go out there and be a good guy and try to be a hero. But ultimately, it made no sense to me. And then I don't want to end the show at all with Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, two guys who haven't been on the show in over a month. Nobody cares about these dudes. Look, if you want people to care, spend the time to put into them. Spend the time, put them on the show. They should be wrestling and winning matches, cutting promos, doing something important. You just can't just dump guys on the show and then expect people to get live and get involved. And then there's, obviously there's going to be a jump after every match, a jump of some kind, because everyone has random partners for no reason, and I heard the excuse why they have all these factions because it's too hard to book people when they're by themselves. And it's like, maybe you should have a smaller roster. Maybe that's the plan. Because factions only work when people know why the team is together. What brings the team together? What does the team stand for? What is their mission? None of these teams have that. They may have a figurehead like Taz. Like, oh, these guys are just a collection of guys that Taz likes. And it's like, okay, but why? Why does Ricky Starks want to hang out with Taz? I don't know if that's ever been answered. Now, Hobbs, okay. You could say, Taz knows. Taz is, was one of the pioneers of the whole judo wrestling thing in the United States. Maybe not in the world, because I think, Japan. But, like, in the United States, he was one of those guys who was using shoot style. And, you could be like, okay, Hobbs wants to learn that. Or that's a thing where Taz kind of, like, Team Taz is more like a dojo. Where these guys are going to learn different moves from Taz, and they're doing Taz moves and stuff like that. It would make sense. But when you don't have a goal or a plan or any real bind or any real reason for you guys to be together, people are just kind of just going to shrug and be like, whatever. I have no idea what Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky are partners. It's like, we're tired of other people getting opportunities. We should be getting opportunities. It's like, huh? How does that make you guys partners? That's dumb. But, I'm asking for too much. This is AEW Dynamite, man. It's not a fucking Edgar Rice Burroughs novel. I'm overthinking it. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought of this show. It was a painfully average show. I did like the main event, and I did like the first match. It was bookended by good matches. The matches themselves, Christian and Hobbs was another good one. I enjoyed Santana's promo. I enjoyed parts of MJF's promo. I enjoyed parts of Jericho's promo. So those were good. I enjoyed Moxley and Kingston being retarded and running over the trailer and being silly. So there are some high points to this show, but there's a lot of low points too. The suck meat through a straw. Penta says. Goofy shit featuring the Dark Order. Guys getting dropped on their head. It's always a mixed bag with AEW Dynamite. And sometimes that's not bad. Sometimes that accounts for something. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Use the hashtag 3count commentaries to follow the videos of the channel. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, hit the bell for notifications. Go into the description. In the description, you will find my Twitter account. Follow me if you can. Also, send me money via the Cash App or subscribe to the channel via Subscribestar. Thank you guys for your time. And I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.